Hi, welcome or welcome back to At Home with Cici. I am at home and I am Cici, mama to 3 amazing humans and, among other things, a homeschooling parent. This channel is everything to do with home education, particularly in the UK, specifically London. So if you enjoy home ed content, ideas, tips, days in the life, things like that, then click that subscribe button or tap that subscribe button. Press the bell for notifications, like this video, and comment with a hey or anything you want to say. If you've done all of those already, thank you, and thank you for being here, everyone. Okay, so this video is part of a series about what we do as a home educating family. Specifically today, I'm going to be talking about year-round home education. So, as we are a family who are anti-school system, as in the mainstream, government-led, generic, archaic format of school, it makes sense that we don't live our lives by school. And what I mean by that is, from the age of 4 or 5, when parents send their children to school because it's the done thing, it's just what we do, they become part of a system that is preparing them for becoming part of the workforce. It's not preparing them for life, for living, for your passion, for joy, for creating, for sharing, for just the love of learning. It is simply preparing you on that factory conveyor belt to go into the capitalist workforce society. And I say archaic because it's been that way since the invention of the school system as it is now. Nothing much has changed. We've got a few more colours on the walls of the school, and there's a few more plays maybe, but essentially the point of school in our society and in its current state is to prepare children to become part of working society, not to become great people, great thinkers, critical thinkers, creators, exciting life-living humans. So that's why we're against it, and that's why we don't live by it. If you think about yourself as a child, or if your children go to school, if they were going to school, we would live for the weekend. We would have that horrible feeling on a Sunday when we knew that tomorrow was Monday and we had to go to school. And we would live for the weekend, but we'd also live for the school holidays. That shouldn't be normal. We've normalised living life waiting for something better when we should be making every day the best day. I know that's very poetic and very idealistic, but it's the truth. We shouldn't have to live the way we live in the systems that we live in, but we do. And where we can take some control back is with home education. So we reject the school term time, and therefore we home educate year round, because education is a lifelong, daily encounter, activity and experience. So we don't live by school time, therefore we home educate year round, meaning that we do have breaks in that when it's Christmas or the summer, or we're ill, or we want to go on holiday, we take time away from our set, scheduled routine of home learning, but we make and create opportunities for learning every day in our home education life. Some home educators don't do this. Some home educators will either live by that school term time because it makes sense for them, it helps them stay scheduled, maybe because their reason for home educating isn't similar to ours, so it makes sense for them. In terms of curriculum, the curriculum you choose might fit a schedule that goes for 39 weeks, for example. That's fine. If it works for your family, then of course that's what you do, because it works for you. That's the beauty of home education. The reason we don't do that is because we appreciate that freedom within home education too. For example, on a week where you're not feeling great, there's no pressure to do as much because we are doing it all the time. Also, our set time to learn, like in a scheduled, structured learning situation, is not a 5-day week. So youngest learner are usually home learning, doing structured home learning 3 or 4 days a week, depending, and sometimes less, never more. So that means our learning, like structured learning days, home ed days, are fewer each week. Therefore, it makes sense also to spread them out. Like I said, some home educators do follow a school timetable or their own sort of terms that they set themselves, and don't home educate year round because they are doing structured learning 5 days a week. So it makes sense to be able to have that break where you do nothing. But for us, because our home learning, structured home learning days are fewer each week, spreading out throughout the year makes more sense. It's not like we're doing loads more than other home educators. We're just more spread. It's a little bit easier, a little bit freer. Now, my current home learner is still young. In the UK, she is considered at the age of reception, but she's still not actually compulsory school age until she turns 5. So she is 4.5 at the moment. So obviously our structured home learning is less than other home educators who are home educating older children or other children who are in school. She's obviously younger than that, so of course we are doing less structured learning because a lot of it's still play-based, still exploring, and a very short time comparatively that we spend doing structured learning a day. So it may seem easier to do it year round because it's much less. Obviously we're not doing it every day, but it would still make the same sense in the older years. In the older years it will continue probably similarly to what it is now. And so it's not simply because my learner is younger, it's also because that format makes sense for how we live and what we do within our days. I also feel like when I was still a part of the school system, employed by it in teaching roles, you would see that children after the summer holidays, for example, would come back with some of that knowledge and understanding having dwindled. One, because they were away from the school setting and the repetitive nature of that teaching, and 2, because at home they were doing other things, being exposed to other activities, or not doing any kind of structured learning at all. So that old adage, if you don't lose it, you use it. If they're not keeping on with the learning, they're going to forget some things, and that's natural. So I believe that's still the case in home education. If you stop doing something that is not like a natural learning process, for example, learning to read or learning some types of maths concepts that don't come naturally, having a huge gap in the learning will affect the learning. So a year-round home education allows that to continue. It's not going to be on an intense schedule where it's like every day do this, but if you're doing it once a week, every week, rather than really intense and then a huge break, I see that there's a benefit in the year-round over having the big breaks. So year-round education allows for the learning to continue in a more natural way, in a way that really benefits the child. In the same vein, a year-round education allows, like structured education, allows for opportunities for learning not to be missed because, it's not school time. So there are opportunities where things come about and a child will want to dive deeper, want to learn more, want to do, would benefit from the lessons guided by their parent or their teacher. But if you would say, well, we're on a break, so we'll come back to that, or we're not doing that because we're, it's the school holidays, that interest could diminish, or the child is not satisfied educationally and therefore has missed an opportunity for some really enriching learning. So a year-round education allows for learning to continue in terms of the structured learning you're doing, but it doesn't miss opportunities to create new learning experiences outside of those structured learnings as well. Now, that's not to say that home educators or parents of children who go to school would just ignore their child's interest and want to learn. But I feel if you are taking a break from your home education or mainstream school, parents are more likely to honour that break and say, no, we'll do it when we come back to school, and we'll miss that opportunity. And that is, I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a wrong thing, but for us, learning opportunities come in all sorts of ways and times, and I don't want to miss them. I'm just going to reiterate, parents and families who home educate not year round, or who send their children to school and have school holidays, and their child showed interest in learning something, if they didn't follow up with that, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just I wouldn't want to miss that personally. Another reason we home educate year round is because there is room to move. The beauty of home education is you set your own rules, you set your own goals, you set your own routine. And with year-round home education, those things are given even more space. So if you have a goal for this subject that your child is learning, or this topic they're doing, if you have a goal for them to achieve, or to reach something, or to learn something, to know something, or to share something, or to create something, if you have a goal for that set within a term, it can feel really strict and pressured if they don't meet that, which undoubtedly and inevitably they won't, because nobody meets all their goals all the time, especially when they're created by a parent for a child. So having that pressure of the term or that time limit can feel too much. But with a year-round home education, you can set the goals for the year or for progress, rather than let's get it done by this term and then by this term. Another reason is it helps with the curriculum you choose. If you choose a set curriculum ready-made, you can weave it throughout the year rather than trying to fit it all in here and then moving on to the next thing and the next thing. I hope I'm explaining myself clearly. All I'm saying is we home educate year round because it feels freer, it feels more natural to our way of living and to how humans exist and how children develop. They don't have set periods throughout the year where they can learn and then do nothing. So it's more flexible, more free, less restrictive, and more natural an experience for our home education, family and life. I will do a video soon, hopefully before the end of the year, showing what I plan for the next year. And because we home educate year round, I will be setting our goals and our routine and our timetable. That is fluid and may change, but I will be setting it and planning from January to December rather than September to July, which is the UK school year months. For my brain, it just makes sense. We will still home educate during the summer months. So I plan just year by year, and it makes so much sense. It's not like 25 to 26, it's just 2026, that year of learning, 2027, that year of learning. And for my brain, it makes sense. And it's just easier to work things out. And I feel like because it goes with the seasons, in my head, the winter is at the beginning of the year, then we go into spring, then summer, then autumn, and back round again. So following the seasons for our planning, as well as just our home education life, it makes sense. The freedom, the flexibility, and the nature of learning. That is why we home educate year round. If you have any questions about the waffle I've just spewed at you, please put a comment down below and I'll happily get back to you. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and then I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for listening.